Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, world. You're welcome to Morning Spring for today. Today, Tuesday, the 6th of February, 2024. We are very delighted to have you join us. FEMI is my name, and it gives me great pleasure to know that you are there on the program with us. Morning Spring, this is where we look at very critical and trending issues in the society. And we look into these issues, analysis, critiquing these matters with opinion molders, policymakers, critical stakeholders. The aim of having this program at this time is to have you informed, and of course, not just only that, is to have conversation that will birth a better and a functioning society, by extension, better and working and functioning Nigeria. That's what we do here every day. Thank you for joining us. And Evelyn, good morning.
Good morning, Femi. How do you do this morning?
You too.
Of course, it's a fresh start, a new day. We are grateful to God for the gift of life. And it's another time to shoot your shot, go for gold. And it doesn't matter what you have been through yesterday. Remember that today has been given to you as a gift. That's why they say it's called present. So make the best use out of it, and ensures that you go for gold. My name is EVELYN, OHIOLEI, and I am super delighted to have you on board this morning.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Talking about what is happening, there's an update. We sound, or we stand the risk of sounding like a broken record over and over here, talking about the reality of what we are facing as a people, the economic reality. And our guest yesterday, Senator FEMI, who represented Ekiti Central, at some point said, not that he said that, he agreed rather that things are bad, and he spoke about how he gets messages every day, people soliciting for help because they feel people like them, are the big people, and so they have something to discuss with. But it sounds, and he says something, that time is running out. This is the time that leaders at all levels must do something fast. Whatever they want to do, they must do it fast, because the people are running impatient. Not just because they're impatient, they are angry, they are hungry, they are upset. And just as him yesterday, a protest started in Kano, in Niger State. Not, yes, Kano metropolis and in Mina, thank you, to be precise, to say, and it's about the cost of living. It's about the fact that the people are getting, upset, and they have made it known. And you know what happens? When these things break out in a place and something fast is not done, your guess is as good as my Evelyn. Here we are.
People are growing impatient, Femi. Like Senator Judu said yesterday, people have been pushed to the wall, and at some point, when they get to that point of their limit, they turn back, and it won't be palatable what is going to happen. We hope we do not get to that breaking point, and we hope that our leaders can do the right thing. Yes, they've told us to tighten our belts, to sacrifice, but how much more can we sacrifice? People just want to eat.
What's
they
left
just want
to
the
be sacrificed?
basics. Let me have food, let me have what to wear, and let me have roof over my head. This is not too much for people to ask for. And, talking to people, reaching out to the senator and all of that, this speaks to creating a working system, because people see these senators, this House of Rep members as lords. They go to when they need stuff, when they need things. They believe they are supposed to be the one providing for their needs. But these people are there to put in place a working system, policies that will help us have a working system. So if they have failed in that regards, that's what you get. People will always come back to them and say, you know what, we put you, there was a time we sponsored you, or we put you in that house, we put you in that Senate, so you have to, come to our aid at this time. But the leaders of this country need to know that we need to have a working system. We cannot sound this enough. We need to have a working system. It's not palatable. That protest in Mina that broke out yesterday, yes, a lot of people on X saying, oh, why is it that it is at this time the Northerners are so agitated about the cost of living in the country? During the past administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, where was their voice? Why didn't they speak up at that time? Because we didn't really have it rosy at in the past administration.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we know things are tougher now, but then people think it's hypocrisy. But personally, I do not think there's a bad time or a particular time when you need to call out something that is bad. What is bad is bad.
What is bad is bad, rightly. And, you know, for persons that will think maybe there is a hypocrisy from the northern part of the country, that thought as well as rang through many persons' mind to say, even at the heat of a very terrible situation of insecurity, you didn't see them come out, you know, to do this. Maybe a pocket of, because there was this protest in Maiduguri, a day that President Buhari visited, and some persons threw stones at him, you know, that happened. But then, for whatever it is, maybe it's because it's a southerner that is there that the northerners are protesting. It's not the northerners that I've gone to yesterday at a grocery shop to know that what I bought last week is not the same price as today. So these are the reality. That sentiment might be there, but then is it correct or not? These are the issues, and it's, you know how the ends are started, and this is not an inciting thing at all. Pocket of protests, people coming on social media to flare up, to rant, to talk about their things, and it was seen like, who are these ones? And all of a sudden, the thing rose in different parts of the nation. That is not what we are seeing here. But then it has gotten people proverbially to this part of their body, and they are choked, many persons. And that's why we started the example of Senator Judy yesterday to say, time is really running out. Somebody somewhere must do something fast. The people are not swallowing this narrative again. Let's endure the pain now, and then the gain will come later. What the issue is, what is left? Will you preside over a dead economy and a dead, vast number of people before things get better? These are the issues. Okay, we learned at the IRU window yesterday, the Naira appreciated 1.03% or thereabout. But then how significant is that? It sounds like a good move, but somebody somewhere must rescue the situation. It was Kano yesterday, it was Mina, same yesterday. We don't know where's next today, but somebody must rise up to just help the situation. These are the issues that we are dealing with as well. And sadly, again, we learned there was an abduction. You know, two bus loads from two different private companies. Yesterday, I was, watching the news, and I saw from, I think, GIG, from ABC, and they took a full load of buses, two of them, with the vehicle into the bush. And so we start again, ransom payment. And these are the issues. It's like a cycle. Evelyn, things are bad. Let's just say it the way it is.
It bad. There's no sugarcoating, FEMI, because there's no way you want to sugarcoat these things. People are feeling the heat. The reality is out there. The reality is the moment you step out of your house, you're faced with the reality. So you can't even sugarcoat these things.
No, not at all.
You can't. You just have to say it the way it is. And we are saying this not to incite, but to speak truth to power and to tell the leaders at the helm of affairs that you need to do something, and you need to do something really fast. Really, really fast.
A full load of a bus of different companies, and then the cycle starts again. Last week, it was about Ekiti people, Ekiti pupils, and they were later released with huge ransom being coughed out. The police said there wasn't that. We will get into all that in the course of the program. Many things to be said at that. And then a literary icon passed away, a dramatist, a big voice, popularly called Uncle Jimmy, the Babagba himself, passed on at the age of 81 yesterday. So rest in peace.
His voice is so soothing.
Yeah.
I mean, for every child that actually listened or watched him, growing
traditional
up.
songs.
His voice is soothing. These are
That baritone.
legends. I call him a legend. These are legends, and we hope that he rest in peace. And today, 6th of February, is the International Day of Zero Tolerance for Female Genital Mutilation. A lot of people think that we are past that, but you'll be surprised that in some parts in this country, Nigeria, they still practice this culture of female genital mutilation, which is actually not a good practice. It is not a good practice. And for this year, 2024, the theme to commemorate this day is A Voice of Future, investing survivor-led movements to end genital mutilation.
All right. We'll go on this break, and when we come back, we get to see what the papers are saying. Very interesting ones. We'll be back. All right, to the papers right now, and many interesting stories, just like I said, to see what is happening in the nation. We'll start with the Nation newspaper. Insecurity, NCC, security operatives working to tackle challenges, better work well and fast as well. EFCC freezes 3 billion naira traced to Sirika's brother's account. Ex-minister civil servant sibling failed to execute 8.06 billion naira contract. You know, a few billions here and there. And of course, we have the picture in the center, the First Lady, Remi Tinubu, being flanked by Senate President wife, Mrs. Akaite Unoma Pabio, the wife of Kwara State Governor, Mrs. Abdulrazak, with other governors' wives, you know, at a meeting at the State House, Abuja, yesterday, governors and leaders' wives in Nigeria. Good luck to them. Forex reforms attracting FDIs, says Cardoso. Where is it? That is it. We're talking about foreign direct investment. All right. Good luck to Mr. Cardoso here. Many persons will not want to envy his job at this time.
It's not the best of time to be a CBN governor.
Right. And that's why, you know, it's about responsibility. So let him do the work that he has. Protest rocks me now. Governor says people mopping up food items to create scarcity. Really? That sounded like something intentionally done by some persons. Okay. Escalating insecurity, Sergei Ubani called for state police through federalism. Rider says current policing structure ineffective, urge use of drones. When we keep hearing, we keep saying this use of drones, it sounds like it's one device that needs the consent of the United Nations and WHO and the World Bank before we could have these things. You know, even cameramen have drones, but they will know their own. It's just for events. But then whatever needs to be done should be done. And Nance flees federal government over rising inflation, threatens street protest. Top strip, Oyo Kaduna Cross River to share $540 million AFDB fund, found on page 4. Though 2024, 9 PDP aspirants reject delegates election, 9 polling officials missing. APC prunes aspirants to 4 when you're hearing this kind of news, just for preparations for primary, not even the election, not the gubernatorial election proper, you know, and these people come out to say it's because they want to serve evening. And FEMI Ojo, that's why you're having all these gidigbo, if I may use that word. Interesting ones. Jimmy Sholanke dies at 81. Supply hitches disrupt petrol distribution in Lagos. Federal government offers 2 bumps. That's all from the front page. Bottom strip, beg your pardon, King Charles diagnosed with cancer. Okay, Navy arrest spin-bound stowaways. You know, when I saw this news yesterday evening, King has cancer. You know, he has been hospitalized for a while, but then later, you know, just yesterday or thereabout, it was announced. And I think that's sincerity, that's integrity. you know what happens if this has to be in Nigeria? You will see deflections, denial. No, it's the opposition that are saying this, but then the best of the nations are saying, okay, the king is sick, is human to be sick, and so that he has the support of the people. That's simple as that. Governance will continue.
Yeah, of course, there's supposed to be nothing to hide because you're serving to the people, and you have to let them know the condition of your health. And the people's funds are used to maintain you in your office. And I would say the king is an influencer, you know, to use that word, because since his this health information came out, a lot of people have been Googling about cancer. You know, at first it was prostate cancer that was said, because he went for some prostate treatment. But now a lot of people, Google said the number of persons that actually searched for prostate cancer to know more about prostate cancer went on the increase. So this is a way of letting people know about this particular ailment, what you need to prevent it. So people should not think that you letting others know about your health condition is a moment of weakness for you. We have seen people who came out to share their story, their journey story, you know, recovering from cancer, recovering from all kind of ailment, from diabetes and all. It's a way to also educate others. Right. So kudos, and I wish the king quick recovery.
And to show that it can happen to the best of people. Exactly. It doesn't matter the class. It's a sickness.
All right, and we move to Vanguard newspaper this morning. On Vanguard, yes, the figures are rolling in, not so palatable. Abducted GRGM buses passengers. Kidnappers want 15 million naira to free my wife. Victim's husband says, and that story is on page 7. High cost of living. Niger residents protest anger. Shut down major roads. And those behind protest out to hijack food trucks coming to Mina from Lagos, says Governor Bago. And Nan seeks Tinubu's intervention, issues ultimatum. Kano governor to intimate Tinubu in hardship, hunger in state. Hard times over soon, says First Lady Remi Tinubu to Nigerians. And Femi, before we move on, speaking to that headline about Kano governor to intimate Tinubu on hardship, it speaks to what we have, the kind of system we have in our country. If we're practicing true federalism, I don't see why a state governor should go to a president to intimate him on what's happening in your own state.
Exactly my thought, Evelyn. You intimate him to do what exactly? Like you are going to report.
So if we really are running a federal system and not a monarchy, I don't see a reason why the governors should be quick to go to Asorok to always talk to Mr. President. I'm not saying they cannot talk to Mr. President, but issues relating
maybe this has to do with national indices and the rest of them.
You have to think in words and know how can I help my people. But even if he must speak
with the president, he doesn't have to travel. The president is not even in Asorok. And you might not be too surprised when somebody will take off from Kano to go to France, to go and tell the president that my people are hungry. These people they are as petty and as reckless as that.
It's worrisome.
Because these are the issues. It's something that you can put a call across and say, this is what is happening. In as much some of these indices transcends the state. Okay, you should know. What should we do? Maybe collaboration, that's fine. But you would see that very soon somebody will leave Kano, go to Abuja, take a flight to Paris, and then they will take picture to say, I'm here to let the president know that my people are hungry, and that's all.
It's really amazing. I hope we can move past this, honestly. Right away from that, to the top strip, Nigeria loses 890 billion naira as gas flow rises 18.9% to 275.2 million. And borrowing, Senate to raise Customs 5.079 trillion naira revenue target. Economic crisis. FG lacks ideas. Should seek help. This is coming from opposition Labour Party. And cultural icon Jimmy Solanke dies at 82. All right, that will be all for Vanguard newspaper this morning.
All right, Daily Independent. Nigeria needs to borrow 21 trillion naira in 2024 to avert bankruptcy. Nigeria needs to borrow 21 trillion naira in 2024 to avert bankruptcy. And King Charles III diagnosed with cancer. That's coming from the Buckingham Palace. All the best to the king there. Basic education, Nigeria experiencing learning crisis. By the way, just a few days ago, it was Cancer Awareness Day, and it is to show, and these are shown again, you know, not taking a shot at the king, or show that these can affect anybody from any walks of life. In fact, people in Africa are even at a greater risk, especially. I wouldn't know why that.
I mean, at the weekend, we lost the Namibia's president to cancer. So.
The black man race, it as a huge. So whatever you can do, if you want to be screened, in fact, everybody should get a test. You know, get to a hospital. There are vaccinations against some of these cancers, especially in women. And, you know, let's just stay alive and be healthy. And basic education, Nigeria experiencing learning crisis, UBEC. Tariff hike, exchange rate volatility destroying our business, clearing agents. At times will soon fade away. First Lady Tinubu. Interesting. I say big amen 3 times. Amen, amen, and amen. And Senate considers review of customs 5 trillion naira target upwards Q2. ANCON not planning to liquidate aero contractor CEO. Climate change, NNPC Limited, US, the launch. Collaborate on greenhouse gas emission reduction from OML 34. And Niger residents protest high cost of living, block roads. Labour Party asks Tinubu to seek help, says condition unmanageable. And Bottom Street police raid kidnappers hideout in FCT, arrest suspect. Escalating insecurity, Sage Ubani call for state police to federalism. And Nance flays federal government over rising inflation, threatens street protesters, the National Association of Nigerian Students. Okay, and of course, the picture here says that's Will Stevens, United States Consul General in Nigeria. They flanked by several people. All right, that's all from the front page of the Daily Independent.
All right, let's check out the Guardian newspaper this morning. On page 6 of the Guardian newspaper, it has the story, building materials, labor spike construction costs by 200%. Building materials, labor spike construction costs by 200%. And you have the facts and figures there. Away from that, hoodlums disrupt Fubara Supreme Court's victory celebration. FCCPC fumes as loan apps violate regulation amid rising payment default. And women farmers to get 0.5 million naira each from Remi Tinubu. That should be 500,000 if I'm correct. All right, away from that, EFCC arrests pastor over 1.3 billion naira fake grants, money laundering. Refrain from wild celebrations if South Africa loses, Nigerian High Commission warns. I mean, I saw that statement yesterday by the Nigeria High Commission admonishing and cautioning Nigerians in South Africa to be silent in victory, if I may put that word, to be magnanimous in victory. And
tone it down.
Not to make some insightful comments.
Don't rub it in their face.
Don't rub it in their faces. Know where you are celebrating. Know where you are going to watch the match. Because that's true. Because when you go to watch the match somewhere that is filled with South Africans and you don't know, out of excitement, should Nigeria win, you just make a very innocent celebratory remark. And it's sounding off in the ears of these South Africans, and you know, that's it. But as we are telling our Nigerian nationals over there to be magnanimous in victory and also to tone down when it comes to celebrating, we should also speak to the South Africans that this is a game, and in the spirit of sportsmanship, one person must win, one person must lose. We are not saying we are the one that will win, but we are saying should peradventure we win, we want you to also embrace us and celebrate with
sports,
us.
yeah,
It's
game.
sports. That's what
You know, when
it
I
is.
saw the adversary yesterday, I was like, okay, that was good to know, because some might be so excessive. You should understand the terrain in which way you are, that, you know, they can be a bit edgy. Everybody knows that. But then, to speak with what you are, I think you should show maturity on the part of South Africa to say, guys, this is football. That's it. This is not a war. So whatever is thrown at you, people banter a lot. And you even see those who banter online already turning out to say, if we come at you, just know that it ends here on the social media space. Don't take it to the street. And then one thing on this matter is, you might want to say the adversary is good. I'm all for it 100%. But some person might think it shows weakness in a kind of way for those people to go common Nigerians. The thing is, if South Africa and the US were to be the one playing this match, would anybody, any South African, want to go against any US citizen? Your guess is as good as mine. Although we are not US, but I'm saying if the people, those ones there, see you as a country that would not take nonsense from anybody, they won't dare to do that. So from this part, take caution. From the other part, you guys behave yourself as well.
Yes, and your comments, please just tone it down, because, you know, Nigerians, we have what they call bad mouth.
Yeah.
You know, we have what they call just the Grammys, and we are still roasting South Africa. Even though we didn't win, we're still roasting the ones that won. So please, Nigerians, let's just know how to talk, when to talk, and who to say these things to. Away from that, poor citizens protest high cost of living, hardship in Mina, Osun. All right, The Guardian has it that there was a protest here in Osun State, and NAFDAC says over 50% of imported pharmaceutical certificates are fake. This is alarming, Femi. Over 50% of imported pharmaceutical certificates are fake.
Who issues it? Where do they get it from?
They need to get to the bottom of this,
Please,
because this is not really, it's not really auguring well at all. This has to do with drugs, what people take in, and it's what they are supposed to use to get better. So imagine they are ingesting
and
what
that they are paying heavily for right now.
So they need to actually get to the bottom of this.
Please.
And lastly, from the Guardian newspaper, I mean, we have almost all the newspapers on the review today. Report on that, King Charles diagnosed with cancer, Buckingham Palace discloses. We wish the king recovery.
God save the king.
Yes.
And of course, everybody around the world suffering from cancer, we wish you all the best as well. Get the best of the treatment. But unfortunately, it doesn't come cheap, Evelyn. Cancer treatment doesn't come cheap. So the cheapest form of avoiding it is to get screened, is to get tested early, so as to have it nipped in the bud, especially in the early stages. But the treatment around it, even in so-called saner climes, it doesn't come cheap at all. No chemotherapy comes cheap, either whatever process any patient might want to follow. But then if you are looking at us this morning and you're suffering from cancer, or you have somebody suffering from it, receive strength. That's what we can say.
And you can be, the thing is, you can look healthy, you can feel healthy, and nothing is happening to you. And the moment you start to feel some symptoms, you go to the hospital, and the doctor is saying you're on stage 3 cancer. You're wondering, I didn't feel, I wasn't sick. That should tell you that
the moment
you need
the symptoms
to get
screened, most likely things are already getting bad. So please do whatever you can to stay alive for yourself, for your family, and for your loved ones as well. And we talked about the female genital mutilation, because this is the day about the awareness. And it will sound like something seen in Africa Magic Epic only, but sadly, it's still happening. Even around us, it is still happening. And it's no more in vogue. The thing is, it is not useful. That's it. It's harmful. You know, it has its own consequences as well. So wherever community looking at us and you're still practicing it, this is not really about tradition again. This is about ignorance. It's no more tradition, even evolve over time. And so to all our girls, our mothers, even fathers, you know, we should help in this matter to make sure it's a thing of the past. That will be the message. For now, we'll go on this break. When we come back, we speak to economy and what is happening. Protest in Kano, in Mina, you know, what are we going to do? We'll be back. All right, you're welcome back. And the conversation this morning is about the economy and the reality of what we are going through as a people. Uh, the economy is a bit, it's not good right now. That's just it. Not that it's ailing, it's bad. The purchasing power is low. The naira to dollar, the INE, even at the parallel, is a no-go area, more than 1,400 at least, if actually I'm current. And that is what we are seeing. Now, beyond that, people cannot even purchase what they need. The inflation is terrible. As at the last count, it was between 28.92 and 29%. And that is what we are witnessing. And just yesterday, the people of Kano, the Kano metropolis, protested. And Niger, especially Mina, categorically Mina, protested about the high cost of living and that, they're hungry. Of course, when somebody is hungry, there's tendency to be angry as well and upset. And these are the issues. We are being joined right now by policy and analyst and, of course, a strategist and, of course, a university lecturer. And he joins us from the UK, lecturer at University of Bristol, Samuel Atiko. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Yeah, thank you for having me on the program. Yes.
Thank you. It's like economically speaking, the chicken has come home to roost. It's not for us here, for you there. We can speak about the indices and talk about, the statistics, the figures, the IMF, indices and everything. But an average Nigerian right now, they are hungry. They are angry. Yesterday, there were pockets of protest. The thing is, did we have it coming, or how did we get here, really, that people cannot just afford basic things for them to even be alive?
I think I would say it's a big question that we keep asking, but people saw it coming. Economists always say that inflation is like a tax on the poor people. The people that pay the brunt of inflation are the working poor and the have-nots. The rich can always ride through it. But notwithstanding that, inflation also takes out wealth of the rich. I mean, for instance, if peradventure he used to have a property, the value of that property had been debased, meaning that your ability to raise funds also debases along with it. Now, where did we start from? If you recall, in 2016, some of us started complaining, including the outgone, right, the former central bank governor, Sanusi Lamido. He also did complain about it, that the monetary authority were actually printing money. Now, when we say printing money, people laugh then. What it essentially means is that the Central Bank of Nigeria was literally creating money out of thin air and handing it over to the fiscal authority, that's the presidency, the president, and that informs the spending that we saw. So to a point in time, the revenue of government was just barely 3.5 trillion, and we're spending about 7, 8, 9, 10 trillion. That excess money, remember, is being created by the central bank. And that money gets pushed into the economy. And when it gets pushed into the economy, the unfortunate truth is that it doesn't get to the pocket of the poor. It doesn't get to the pocket of the working poor. It's the big contractors that get majority of this money. And when they get majority of this money, what do you think they think about? They think about, how do I preserve the value of this money? Meaning that it runs after the dollar value. And essentially that cascades into what you call the massive pressure that we keep having on the naira. And we all know, if we look at Nigeria since the central bank introduced the naira in the early 70s, Nigeria's currency had always mirrored the dollar. Essentially, when the dollar falls, inflation tends to rise. And there we are. Inflation cropped into the economy. Worsening it up also, we had these insecurity issues happening in the northeast, and then went again to the north central, and then cascade into the northwest. And it's even eating a little bit of the southwest now. I mean, we saw what happened in Ekiti. Meaning that farmers cannot farm, food inflation come into play. Then also the central bank, in trying to address this issue, also created some problems themselves, banning certain goods from accessing, I'll call it accessing the foreign exchange market, meaning that people have to look for alternatives. So everything went boom, and then we knew that the effect is going to come through, and then it started piling up. Now, the president coming in last year, May, also did make some pronouncement. Yeah, we're going to remove subsidy. Some of us felt that, yes, if you want to remove subsidy, the economy was not resilient enough to absorb the shock, that people were not earning enough, the economy was not growing fast enough for people to ride through that wave. And then everything happened simultaneously, and here we are today. I mean, people are struggling to pay their rent, people cannot pay for food. So we have a lot of issues happening now. So back to the basis, it's a accumulation of problems that started way back, and then we have gotten us here. And it's unfortunate that the unfortunate truth is that the working poor, they have not that are paying the biggest price of poor policy decisions that have been made in the past, and of course in recent history.
All right, Mr. Atiku, as you can see, my voice sounds so low because it's a sad situation right here in Nigeria. People are angry, and this is as a result of people being hungry. Recently, we've been seeing lots of facts coming out from the CBN, from the NNPCL, the rot that happened in the CBN in the past, the rot that happened in NNPCL at the past. I mean, you mentioned the former CBN governor who has been speaking, who has been shouting about the rot in NNPC, the rot in the CBN. Mr. Atiku, let's leave all the talk. You know, we know that, okay, this thing happened since 2016 and all of that. Where are we now? And where should we be facing? Where should we be headed at this point?
The unfortunate truth is that I recall that the central bank governor in Lagos did make out and read out his policy moving forward. Unfortunate truth, I mean, again, I keep using the word unfortunate truth multiple times, is that you cannot operationalize macroeconomic policy. In fact, banking operational regulation cannot correct monetary policy failures. You need monetary policy instruments to correct monetary policy failure. What we've seen, the central bank repeatedly said, is that, oh, we're most likely going to control banks, we're going to do A, B, C, D. So they keep reeling out different types of regulation, trying to wink off the banks, that's the deposit money banks, into action. But let's remember, the bank, because of the failures of the past, policy failures of the past, the formal sector for foreign exchange management had been very narrow, right? The formal market had narrowed up to the point whereby about 50% of foreign exchange transactions happen formally. Most of what happens now happens informally. For instance, remittance from abroad has dried up. People don't send in money to Nigeria through the normal channel again. You have a lot of fintech that have springed up. Some of them registered outside the country, some of them registered inside the country. So if for instance, now peradventure, I register a fintech company maybe in the UK, and then I take in people's dollars, because there's potentiality for people to move money outside the country. You can't control that market. So I've seen series and series of regulations that the central bank keep rolling out. At the heart of this issue is controlling, it's a demand-supply concept. And in managing demand and supply, those are basic economic rudiments, right? You have to look at the basis. How do we slow down demand, or how do we increase supply? The truth is that we cannot increase supply because that's a long-term prospect. We can set up long-term plans for that. But how do we reduce demand? The best way to reduce demand is to go back to the basis. We've been printing money abysmally. I mean, the whales and mills have gone out of this world, getting close to 30 trillion. How do we slow that down? How do we trim that down? That should be at the heart of monetary policy actions that the central bank is taking. That's number one. Number two, we need to address insecurity in the country. I mean, you can't pay lip service to that. People need to eat, right? And if people cannot eat, definitely there will be crisis. I mean, we've said that time and time. Majority of the empires that fall historically, when you see war-torn countries, most of it are actually being triggered when you have this kind of crisis. If you go to the south, if you go to the middle belt, right, the middle region of Nigeria, You look closely at the northeastern part of the country, you look at the northwestern part of the country, the banditry issue. We need to address those things head on. Unfortunately, I've not seen actions being taken to address those issues, meaning that farmers cannot go to farms. And if you cannot farm, definitely the little people that are farming, they are going to raise the price of their food items up, right? Because definitely there's higher demand and then there's low supply. The price will go up, and if the price goes up, yeah, it's the working poor that will pay for it. That's the second thing that needs to be handled. I think that should be the priority of government. More importantly, they are building blocks, right? We have a massive population. We need to sell people hope. Unfortunately, I've seen people, I've seen a lot of pronouncement when people try to, the truth is that 200 million people cannot be wrong. It's you that you are wrong. 200 million people can never be wrong. Economics and theories are not postulated and forced men into aligning with it. You look and you study human beings and then typically tailor policies to ensure you relieve the burden of the people. If you look closely at what is happening across Europe, for instance, because of the Ukraine-Russian war, right, we see a lot of right-wing parties rising up to power and taking over things. And people can understand that clearly. Unfortunately, we seem not to be sensitive to those issues in our country, Nigeria. And that's why we keep saying policies must be tailored to address the challenges we have in our country, rather than actually looking away and focusing on other things. And my own advice to the government is that we need to look at this problem. Removing subsidy, it's not going to make sense going forward. As the Naira fall now, are you going to raise the price of PMS from where it is now, maybe to 2,000 Naira a litre? It's not going to happen. People can't even afford it. How much is people's salary? So we need to look at our income threshold. We need to set boundaries around those things. We need to design and tailor our policies around those variables before we start making things that sounds good to the elite. Of course, when you look at the elite, of course, I want the subsidy removed. Yeah, it makes sense to me. People like it, people clap. But in truth, that affects the working poor, the people that are actually living on the streets. And you have to look at them. They should be at the heart of your policy design. And that's what we have always complained about. We tend to relegate them to the background when we are making decisions. And that's why we are where we are today.
All right, Mr. Atiku, do you think these policies by the Cardoso-led CBN is a trial and error, or do you think Mr. Cardoso understands the Nigeria problem and is the policies and the solutions he is preferring are what we need at this time? Or you think that Nigeria's problem is overwhelmingly difficult and challenging, that these policies that Mr. Cardoso and his team are preferring seem not to be working because Nigeria is a unique country and our problems are unique?
I always say something that the Naira is a creation of man. It's not created by God. God did not create Naira notes. So the problem of the Naira is a man-made problem. It's not God. God will never create a problem, right, that will make people suffer. Let's be clear. God has said, let hard work pay. Once you are hardworking, you will eat. That's what is there if you read the holy books, right? Now, the truth is this: if you look at the central bank governor, his background is banking operations. And we've always feared that once you have banking operations, you tend to mirror everything from the perspective of the banking systems. And that's exactly what happened to the outgone central bank government. He felt that everything revolves around banking operations. So you see him talking about regulating banks should not do it, but that's not economic policy. Economic policy is more macro in nature. You have to look at virtually all the building blocks of an economy. Unfortunately, what I would say is that I don't know whether he understands the problem. He seems to understand the problem well when you listen to him talk. But in terms of the action that we've seen happen in the last 3 months, in the last 4 months, we've said it repeatedly that these actions are not going to address the scarcity of the FX systems, right? It's not going to bring down, it's not going to reel down inflation. It's not going to address the issues that people are facing on the street. And if you look at the policy pronouncement, they revolve around banking operation. Any little thing, we are creating new rules around how you report ABC. Those are operational issues. They are important. The most important pillar is to look closely at the macroeconomic indices. itself, look at the monetary policy tools from the open market operations to, you have different monetary policy tools that you've seen people come up with, or you can even design those that fit your own concept. And it takes a lot of brain work. It takes a lot of sitting down with economists, and you have a lot of them, good, brilliant economists at the central bank. You need to sit down with them, let them design a real monetary policy tool that can help us address this issue of excess liquidity that is actually forcing the naira into where it is. We need to address those issues. The second thing is that we need to rein down inflation, whether we like it or not. Inflation is one, is a thief of time, it's steal people's time, it's a tax on the poor, whether we like it or not. In fact, if you look at it today, if you go back memory lane, 2001, 2021, 550 naira will get you £1. Meaning that if you are earning 1,000 pounds, about 500, if you are earning 550,000 naira, let's say per annum or per month, that's 1,000 pounds. People were complaining as at that time that was too low. Today, that same money, that 500,000, can't even get you how much? It barely gets you, I mean, your purchasing power has been eroded because of what has happened between that time and now. And all those things were all wheeled around banking operational issues. So let's take away banking operation. It's good. Let's push it aside. Let the deputy governor banking operation handle that. Let the central bank governor sit down with the monetary policy committee and look closely at monetary policy tools. If you go and read academic papers, there are multiple papers that have been written about monetary policy tools. And it has not been, it's not even a strange abstract thing. It has happened in this country. When an economics became the central bank governor of this country, he looked closely, I mean, in designing the FSS programs, right? The fiscal strategy, I mean, what do you call the FSS 2020 strategy that emanated into recapitalizing the bank, dropping the MRR. Before we used to use the MRR scale into the MPR scale, and all this thing. We corrected majority of this. We drew down inflation from about 30% to less than 3% at some point in time. Before the crisis, the global financial crisis, took it back up. So let's look at those. Let's go back to memory lane. How did we do it then? Let's learn from it. Let's go and look at it. We did not look. We are not looking at banking operations. We are not looking at ABC. ABC Bank did not do ABC, so we are going to punish you. That was not what we correct the issue. The real issue is that we need to look at the monetary policy tools at our hands and then begin to look at it. We need to go back to our toolkit, whether we are to design new ones to address those peculiar challenges. We need to bring down inflation. Inflation needs to come down to single digits. We need to ensure that there's stability of the exchange rate. It needs to stabilize. Then let the businesses that are operating in Nigeria have access to loans. Let consumers have access to loans for mortgage. That's how we can ride ourselves out of this problem. Unfortunately, the policy decisions that we've seen in the past, the last 8 years, and then of recent also, doesn't speak to these issues. And that's why this issue will continue to remain.
All right. Two quick questions, Mr. Atuyiko. Part of the steps, policies being taken by the CBN, especially we've had quite a number of them in the past few days. I'll read out some of them. Just a few days ago, the CBN changed the official naira to dollar exchange rate. I'm talking about as far as trading, importing, and indicating importers will pay more to clear their goods. Data obtained from the federal government trading portal showed that from Monday, February 5, that was yesterday, importers will pay 1,413.62 per dollar. And this is an increase from 1,356 per dollar on Friday. That was last Friday, February 2nd. And also the previous rate of 951.941 per dollar, talking about naira per dollar, on Thursday, February 1st. Now, as of today, according to statistics, it stands at 1,413. That is for trading as far as importations, clearing of goods is concerned. Again, the CBN ordered banks to sell excess dollars in 24 hours. These are some of the decisions being taken by the CBN as well. And then yesterday or thereabout, the CBN in an interview, the CBN governor rather, said, he talked about the $2.4 billion that out of the reported $7 billion outstanding foreign exchange liabilities of the federal government, $2.4 billion out of those are not valid. That's a different conversation. So it appears, my colleague asked about, is it just a try and error thing? Okay, let's try this. If it's working, okay, we stay by it. If it's not working, banks sell all the dollars you have. In fact, there was a concern about people with domiciliary accounts, but that concern has been put to rest now. And it's appearing like there is no grip on this economy. And it's the people in Ofa, people in Oshobo, people in Karanamuda, people in Umaya, Arochukwu, some of them don't understand these things. They just want the basic things of life. Give us the environment, we will work to do all these things. So what's your take on all these policies of the CBN governor, in the past few days? That's the first question.
Yeah, I mean, I said it already. All those are operational issues. They don't speak to the problem. They are not going to address the core of the issue. I mean, in policy design, any student of policy, public policy will tell you that you do a problem analysis before you start designing tools to address those problem analysis. And your problem analysis could take this from first, you look at how problems are manifesting. You now go one step further to understand the cause of those problems, and then you look at the root cause of those problems. And most times than none, it's the root cause that you address. It's just like a doctor. If you're giving somebody paracetamol because you're using painkillers, because the person is having a headache, you are not addressing the real core issue. The person may actually be dying. You're just giving. So what we see are those cosmetic policies. They are just there to make you look as if you are acting one way or the other.
You call it
at
cosmetic?
the heart of this problem.
Mr. Atiku, you say it's cosmetic, yes. These policies of Cardoso.
Yes, I mean, at the heart of this problem is ways and means. So let's hide it. It's the creation of the central bank. The Central Bank of Nigeria, starting from 2016, went against its established laws and started printing money arbitrarily. That has happened in Zimbabwe. If you remember what happened in Zimbabwe, that people were carrying trucks of money on their home and then they could not buy bread. Exactly that same policy had happened in Germany after the World War. That same policy happened in Venezuela. And then we've seen how this kind of policy will bring economies on their knees. The Central Bank of Nigeria took it upon itself, and then they went into that policy trough. 2016, as of 2016, the total ways and means of Nigeria, essentially, what we mean by ways and means is that the total money that the federal government borrowed from the central bank was 500 billion. That's as of May. As of today, it's about 30 trillion. So think about it. Those 30 trillion have no economic value, where they were just printed arbitrarily. Yeah. And then when you print money arbitrarily, they are hot money. Let me explain something. There's a difference between the money, for clarity, let me just clarify this. There's a difference between the money you keep in your bank. The money you keep in your bank that you have on your phone are superficial money. They are just saying to a bank that I owe you money. That money itself is not real. So if I take 1,000 naira to my bank A today, and I deposit it there, the bank will write on its computer that I have deposited 1,000 naira. Yeah. Then it gives me an app or a text message to say, oh, we receive 1,000 naira from you. And then I go around with that. That same bank takes that 1,000 naira, remember that note naira, and give it to another person. And when it gives it to another person, they are not going to give the person that 1 naira. No. For instance, another person walks into that bank and say, borrow me 1,000 naira. That bank will just type on his computer 1,000 naira, meaning that the money in circulation has gone from 1,000 that I deposit into 2,000. That's how money grows in an economy. In real actual sense, there's only 1,000. Why the total deposit that we have is 2,000? Right. So that 1,000 naira, which is that cash money, is the only money you can use to buy dollars. Meaning that 2,000, right? I have 1,000, we have 2,000. If everybody says we want to look for that, there will be a problem. All right. But the problem is that you see that tiny 1,000 naira note, the central bank had expanded it ridiculously. And that means that banks are struggling. Everybody just wants to take a bit of the action. And that's where we are. So the central bank must first admit that is the one itself that created this problem.
All right.
That's the first starting point, and then we now begin to take corrective measure. And what kind of corrective measure? We need to take back those ways and means, and that's going to be a very hard work to do it. We need to take that. It's essentially, we call it a loose cannon. Everybody knew. In fact, we were expecting that the central bank governor, when he was coming in, that is going to put a pause on ways and means. So unfortunately, under this government, waste and means continues to grow.
All right.
So the policies of the past have not stopped. It continues to grow, and that's the problem.
That's a problem, really. We're really pressed for time. But my second question is this. Let's do a comparison, analysis quickly. In commodity prices from May 2023 till now, May, a bag of rice, averagely, was sold for 50 kg, by the way, 35,000. Now it's 65,000 or thereabout, between 62, 65, 85.7% increase. Flour, 50 kg, 28,005, now 50,000. Honey beans, 50 kg, 30,000 in May, 62,000 naira now. Onions, one bag, 28,000 naira, now 60,000. That's a whopping 114.3%. Palm oil, 25 liters, 29,000 in May, almost, more than that now, 35,000 thereabouts. Cement, one bag, 4,200 in May, and now 6,500. This is our reality right now. What do we do? Where do we go from here? I guess, people are already protesting. They protested in Mina. They protested in Kano. We don't know where's next.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange to say that there's nothing. The problem had been created. The problem is there. How do we ride off this? How do we ride out of this problem? The way you can ride off of this problem is, one, income of people needs to go up commensurately to be able to cover it, because you can't go back to basis. We can't reverse the cost of history. They say anything that goes up does not come down, right? In Nigeria. So technically you have to ride up, meaning that people's income needs to go up, and a whole lot of factors need to come into play. That's where the problem is. And unfortunately, that's where we find ourselves. 130 million people in poverty. The poverty rate will now be out of this world. You can think through a whole lot of things. Those are even long-term prospects. The only way we can reverse the course of history, what has happened, is going to take a long time. It's going to take maybe 5-6 years to be able to reverse what has happened.
Wow.
But I think the most important thing for us now is that we need to start taking that corrective action so that we don't expand and extend the period even beyond. They always say 7 years of leanness, right? In economics, there's a theory that says that 7 years of economic leanness has started. So how do we cut that off? So we need to begin to. More importantly, I think for those that are retired, government needs to design policy interventions to actually help them ride through this. We need to look at transportation. What kind of policies can we put on ground to actually subsidize transportation for the working poor, to encourage them to keep working? Because again, it doesn't make sense for you to be earning 50,000 and use 50,000, you use 60,000 for transportation. At some point in time, you are going to complain.
Subsidizing transportation, right? We had one in December by the government, and then it's just there. Are these not these kind of things you're talking about?
I mean, we need to find a way around it. I mean, to be sincere, Nigeria happens to be about the only country in the world that does not subsidize transportation as we speak. We need to actually find a way around it.
Right.
That's about the only way. We need to subsidize transportation. All this whole idea of food, a whole lot of people in the world will always come up with food support systems for people. We need to go back to the basics. We need to raise people's income. I mean, on a minimum, if I was labor union, I would be calling for a 300,000 naira minimum wage as a starter to actually put government on its feet. I know that sounds very outrageous, but that's where we need to be.
All right.
So I can go on and on and on like that, but we need to start taking actions from now. And the only action that the central bank can take today is to, number one, rein in on its continuous printing of money. Let's stop this thing. It has not worked. It only put people more in. Look at it. The GDP of Nigeria used to be close to 500 billion. It has shrunk down to about 200 billion because of this action.
Right.
Nobody grows the economy by taking these actions. We only hand it up. And we only hand where we are today. And it's unfortunate that we find ourselves where we are today.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Atiku, for coming on the show today. I mean, you've spoken to these issues, and we hope that the right things are done and Nigerians can have what to eat. They are just asking for the basics: what to eat, what to wear, and a roof over their heads. And we hope this is done in earnest. All right, Mr. Lloyd Atiku, thank you. Samuel Lloyd Atiku, thank you so much for joining us all the way from the United Kingdom.
Thank you so much for having me on the program. Yeah, we hope by the time we have a conversation next time, things will be relatively better for Nigerians.
All right, a big amen to that. Thank you for joining us. All right, that was Mr. Atiku there, joining us, a university lecturer with the University of Bristol, and of course a strategist and a researcher as well. We'll go on this quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll switch our guests to Ekiti State. Yes, the pupils that were abducted have been released, you know, and there are controversies surrounding their release. We'll get to clarification shortly. That we after now. All right, you're welcome back. And just like we said, we're straight to Ekiti State right now and to give us an update on the release of the abducted pupils. News had it that they have been released, and of course with the tutors as well, but not without the fatality of the driver that was killed. We are being joined right now by DSP Sunday Abutu, the Police Public Relations Officer for the Nigeria Police Ekiti State Command. Thank you for joining us, DSP.
Good morning. Good morning to our listeners. Good morning, everyone.
All right. Thank you. You know, good news that the pupils have been released. Those that were, you know, abducted like a week ago, thereabout, the teachers as well. And we saw the video, that viral video of the pupils and their teachers, you know, looking all roughened up, and that unfortunately the driver died. And many persons were saying, okay, how did that happen? Just give us an update on how those, you know, the pupils and their teachers were rescued.
Thank you very much. Last week was a very tough time for us in the command. And but we thank God the tension is down now. On the 29th of January 2024, a school bus was attacked by unknown hoodlums around Demure Ekiti, and they went away with 5 of the children in the bus, and then the 3 teachers and a driver, making a total of 9 persons who were abducted that very day. So we got the information and had to mobilize to that axis, a combined team of the police and other security agencies, including the Amotekun, the local vigilantes, the local hunters. We all mobilized to that axis and started combing the bush with a view to rescuing these people that were taken away. And finally, on the 4th of February this month, we got them released. And unfortunately, we lost the driver, who was reportedly killed by the kidnappers a day before they were rescued.
Okay, where exactly? Because so many contradictory reports and news have flooded the social media space, and that's why we have you here to clarify this for us, being the mouthpiece of the Ekiti State Police Command. Where exactly were these children rescued? Because we are led, some learned it was deep in the forest, Yes, it was still within Ekiti State. Some said it was even in Ondo State. Where exactly were they rescued?
Still within Ekiti State, in the forest, around in between Emure and Ondo State anyway, but still in the forest.
So the kidnappers, would like to ask, was there an exchange of gun battle? Were the kidnappers shot at? Were they arrested? What's the situation?
Yes, there was actually a closing on them, and immediately discovered that I believe that was why they had to let these people go, and they escaped. We are still on their trail. We will continue the operation until they are all arrested. We are promising that they are going to be arrested.
The statement put out after that release by the police suggested that ransom wasn't paid, but the head teacher, that the principal, the proprietors of the school principal rather, that 15 million naira ransom was coughed out. The police said the ransom wasn't paid. Can you clarify that? Was ransom paid, DSP?
Thank you. I released statements for the police in Ekiti State, and I don't know the statement you are talking about. There was no time any statement was released that a ransom was paid or a ransom was not paid. Just the way you heard, we are also hearing that rumor. But as a force, at our end, we will never encourage the payment of ransom, and at no point had anybody come to us to tell us that the ransom was paid. We had the incident, the ugly incident. We mobilized. We had our men in the forest, and we believe that was what led to this success. Don't forget the federal government through the Inspector Police deployed a rescue team. The air wing, the IRT were all on ground for the mission, and at the end of the day, we had that success. So the issue of payment of ransom or no payment of ransom was never brought to our knowledge. We discourage and forbid the payment of ransom. What we'll continue to do is doing our best and encouraging victims' family to always cooperate with us each time there is such occurrence.
All right, DSP, you said that the rumors of the payment of ransom, you also heard it like every other person, but some people would say it's not a rumor, it's a report, because the proprietor of the school was interviewed by journalists, and he affirmed that the sum of 50 million naira was paid to these kidnappers before the abductees were released. So as a security agent, don't you think inviting the proprietor for questioning on whether a payment was paid or not will be
exactly where I want to go now? Okay. I think the proprietor or the family members are giving us different information here, giving the media different information and not telling us the real thing that occurred, if at all ransom was paid. We'll take it up from here. We'll ask them if at all such was done. But I believe if actually it was done, we don't encourage that, and they would not want to tell us the truth. I think that is what is in play at the moment. But we will go into that and ask questions. But we asked, and there was nothing like that, such information given to us.
All right, before we let you go, DSP Abutu, there are reports on social media of the leader of a kidnap syndicate in Ekiti that has been terrorizing Ekiti being arrested, and I'd like you to confirm or deny that report, or rebunk that report, rather. It says that one Pa Olowofela has been arrested, and also this is coming after the arrest of one Baboga Alhaji. I want to know if you've heard of those names before, if these persons were arrested, and what were they arrested for?
I think before the rescue of these school children, there was a rumor that came out that they've been rescued. They were freed already. That was before, even while they were in the hands of the kidnappers. There was that news. There was this video that was going about, and a picture of someone that was of a group that were paraded in 2021. They still brought out those pictures that those were the kidnappers who took the children away, even while we were still trying to. I don't know what people gain from peddling fake news. This particular one I saw yesterday night, towards the last paragraph, it was stated that on those, Kwara State Command came to Ekiti State to perform that operation or that arrest, not Ekiti State Police Command. I will confirm that, I will ask. But the normal thing is for any command who is coming in to have an operation will come first to the headquarters, do a formal booking before proceeding to anywhere. So for now, it still remains a rumor and yet to be confirmed.
All right. Before I let you go, quickly, back to that ransom news, and either it was paid or not. One want to say the usual narrative is that if ransom were paid, with what we've seen so far or had of different cases, when it's paid, the criminals will have to let go of their abductees, possibly at one point or another. But then you said it was because the joint team of police and vigilantes closed in on them. That's why they ran away and left those, the abductees. So one wants to say if actually it was about ransom, then it won't be because the police closed in on them. But it's a good thing to know that you say you are going to investigate the matter. And of course, we'd like to have you see to that. But quickly, before we let you go, what are your plans to keep Ekiti State safe? Many persons are apprehensive. DSP, if you must know, even travelers that want to travel, the expressways, going through Ekiti, most of them are apprehensive. What's the plan?
Thank you very much. You still talking about you still talked about the issue of payment of ransom or not. As I said, we are not aware. Okay. We don't encourage ransom payments. And even if you're going to pay a ransom, you're going to drop anything in form of a ransom, let us know. We can lay ambush for these people and get them arrested. But let us look at this angle that police did not make any, because that is where most people will want to drive the issue of payment of ransom or not to. Let us say the family members actually paid a ransom. There was a time we had a rumor that they demanded 100 million naira. And don't you think if there was no effort from the police and other security agents to close in on these people, they will stand on that amount and actually collect that amount. They are working, they will have to be sincere, they work with time, and they know if actually the ransom was paid. I want to just believe, to just go by what you believe, that ransom was paid. If actually there was no effort, nobody, the kidnappers or abductors know that nobody's coming for them, nobody's after them, nobody's saying anything, no security force is after them. Don't you think that they will stand on whatever they want to get and get? But that is by the way. But I want to say that the state is safe. Most of these things there's no time for us to start analyzing some of the fake things that have come on the social. Some of these things are I don't know, maybe a way of distracting us. We can never be distracted. Ekiti State remains one of the most peaceful and safe states as far as this country is concerned. Our highways are protected. They are there. They are manned by our operatives. Our borders are manned. But we know that even in the most advanced country, crimes also happen once in a while, and that is what we are experiencing. If there is no crime, there is no need for the police. There is no need for the army. There is no need. There won't be need for any security force to exist in the society. It is because the founders knew that there will be crime. That was why they set up this set up the police and other security force. So the crime happens. It will happen once in a while, but our ability to minimize them is what gives us the edge. And then sometimes to be proactive, not allow them to happen and go beyond our control. The state is safe, but we also encourage people to be security conscious and report to the police on time, not when it has happened, then you're not coming up with information. These people work with them, as I said earlier. So if you are giving us information, let it be timely, and we also encourage people, very important, that yes, the issue of insecurity might look like a global thing. It's not just Ekiti State. So if you are to move, you are traveling, and this journey is not so important. So it's not a do or die journey for you. You have the time against you already, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Someone is traveling at 10 p.m. It's okay to travel. Nobody is hindering you from traveling. But at that odd time, I think if it is not something compulsory, you should be security conscious to leave it till the next day before you travel. Because most of these kidnapping incidents that we recorded, they happen at night. They happen around 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, where these people know that the police cannot follow them to those thick forests. Thank you very much. Encourage people to be victim conscious.
Yes, we appreciate it. One of these days, maybe in the course of the week or next, we get to have you to talk expansively about how to be security conscious, because I think it's very needed at this point. DSP Sunday Abutu, the PPRO for Nigerian Police Ekiti State Command. About what you said about we believing, it's not about us believing what we hear only. That's why we have it here, to dispel, to confirm or deny some of these things. And we appreciate the efforts of the police, but when we need to call you to question, just like any other public servant, we will do that. Thank you, and for yourself a very lovely day.
We're always here for you. Thank you
very much. Yeah, and that's where we put the brakes on, Morning Spring today. It's been a very lovely one. Evelyn, let's go.
Yes, we have to go. And of course, you know that after Morning Spring comes Spring Trends Stadium. My name is EVELYN.
All right, Femi Ojo is my name. God bless Nigeria.